the chaos, taking control. My values not negotiable, my worth is my law. Surrounding myself with excellence, that's what I saw. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. This is the elevation, product, rising above the chaos, taking control. My values not negotiable, my worth is my law. Surrounding myself with excellence, that's what I saw. This is the elevation, protocol, rising above the chaos, taking control. My values not negotiable, my worth is my law. Surrounding myself with excellence, that's what I saw. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. Bridges to greatness, demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. My standards draw the line here. My standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls.
All right, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. I forgot to pull up the stuff. We got a lot of stuff going on for you guys for today. Um, there it is. Put that back up there. Uh, so what I found out so far before we get started is that we had the information about the DHS funding thing. So it is still shut down, but what happened was on the 3rd, Donald Trump had put out an executive order to provide funding from DHS somewhere to the DHS employees, and then instructed on the 10th, which was Friday, for all of the DHS furloughed workers to go back to work. They were supposed to likely receive paychecks Friday or sometime this week, whenever the next pay period day is. But DHS is still technically shut down. It's just that they have started talking about a different way to pay the employees until they work out the DHS issue. So we have hello. We have that going, and then we have on Monday we're going to be talking about the new information. It's not really new information because I was talking to you guys about this when he was campaigning about the draft, and I told you guys that he was going to be enlisting everybody, like everybody and their grandson, at some point because he was talking about military testing in the high schools and stuff. Like instead of California achievement tests, like military entrance exam test kind of situations, and uh, those were like hypothetical discussions back in the day, but they just passed a bill in December that went into effect that is effectively that after a bill has been passed in a law, after a little bit, we end up in a position where it's enforceable. And since December, it's now enforceable. They're going to start automatically enlisting everybody that's between 18 and 26. And I'm going to be talking to you guys about that so that um, the 2 days in a row, I did not get a notification that you're live, and I have the notifications on. Okay, so how that works is that the notification is on for YouTube, but then you hit the notification button for the video that you want to watch, and then the video is supposed to tell you that the notification that the particular show that you hit the notification button on is now on. So if your notification button is active for YouTube, that does not mean that just because you are subscribed to the channel that you will be told about every single post or live video that comes out. You have to select. It's almost like if you watch Netflix and updated releases are in like a section of videos that are going to be released over the next 30 days, and you hit the notification button to tell me when that video is released. When that video gets released, the ones that you selected are going to tell you that they're there. The ones that you didn't select just get released and you don't know that they're there. You just so happen to find them at around the time that they were supposed to get out there. So it's like a multi-step process. You got to receive text messages from YouTube, which has that those notifications got to be on. You have to select the videos that you want to be notified about when they're supposed to come about, and it's kind of easy to do because I got like a lot of them up there for like the next 30 days or so that are up there. And the Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays are the ones that I'm kind of doing week to week because I want to be up to date about my information. But the majority of the shows are there, so you kind of hit the notification buttons on them. Now, there is supposed to be some type of notification that happens once I go live that YouTube says, hey, the person you subscribed to went live. But that doesn't always happen either because I'm subscribed to a lot of situations that I don't know that certain channels that I subscribe to go live because I go live every day. They usually tell me when you go live, and I will select all videos now. Yeah. So as YouTube changes, certain features don't work the way they're supposed to work, but if you manually select every single video that I post before it releases and have that notification button active on those posts, you should be told that those specific videos did go live or they are live at this moment. So it's kind of like a multi-step process. It's a lot of effort to make sure that you're reminded, but I try my best to go live at the exact same time or close to the exact same time every week so that if you look at your watch, if you set an alarm clock, if you set a notification on your phone that's a daily notifier that sometime around, 20 minutes after the hour that I'm going to go live every night, then you might be 5 minutes late at best, but you'll be here every day. If you're working and you want to make sure your alarm clock goes off and you got your earbuds in and you can listen to me while you're at work. If you're at home and then notifications pop up and like you block out this 2 hour time slot, like, yeah, I'm gonna just sit here and watch this. You can always do that as well because we got a lot of information. So on Monday we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff because they've got the hypothetical ceasefire situation. Well, no, it's not a hypothetical. They actually did do a ceasefire a few days ago on the 8th, and they've been in discussions, but the discussions didn't go over well, and I'm going to be talking about that. I was trying to do a calculation of because Trump did say in a press conference at one point in time. Special shout out to Nicole, Detroit, Michigan, in the house that he might offer to fix some stuff rebuilding their infrastructure. And then I come back and he's like, no, we're not doing that. According to new information that he's not willing to rebuild the infrastructure in their discussions uh, uh, for the ceasefire thing. So I don't know if he will, but under the observation that during his term, if they were to rebuild the infrastructure within the next two years of Donald Trump's term, the $44 billion worth of damage that was done to the infrastructure would lead to about $500 million a week worth of funding to rebuild. I don't know if they're going to actually do that or not, but if they were to do it, I would be interested to see where the money's going to come from and how that's going to impact the American people. Because typically, what I cover is how things happen in politics that actually impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. And $500 million a week going to India to rebuild India might impact us in some way, whether they turn off services for something or build up services for something. Something should happen somewhere where we're going to feel it, but we're not going to like it, right? So here on this and that, we do not let the sunrise without going live, but we don't always start on time, and that's why we ask you guys to like, subscribe, and hit those notification buttons on each show, as I was talking to Steven about, so that you can be notified about when we go live, so that you don't miss the top of the hour. Um, Being live 7 nights a week, we cover different topics from different angles, but they're all focused on how decisions that you make directly impact your ability to succeed in life. And we start off like Sundays tonight. We talk about questions and comments from the fans. We got some good ones today. Then we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays like business and politics, where Monday is how politics directly impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Then we have on Tuesdays different ways that you can invest, save, budget to make money, startup jobs and everything to that effect. Then on Wednesdays, different countries around the world that you can invest in and potentially live in to get your end result as a better standard of living and stuff to that effect. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we have the discussions about self improvement, self development, relationship topics, negotiation skills, socialization, building your brand, and then talking about promotions and raises and retirements and then severance packages. And overall, by the end of the week, we really emphasize your ability to build your 20 or 30-year plan so that you can find a better way to get to the results that you're looking for by changing the decisions that you make today. And in changing the decisions that you make today, you change the way your decisions impact your money tomorrow, which changes the way your budget is tomorrow, which changes the way your overall retirement looks. Because wherever you plan on being 30 years from now, there's a cost for that. And if you start engineering the ability to pay that cost today, you start seeing the results of that cost as you go along. And that's one of the things that we want to start to show support towards. So um, in this uh, uh, long stretch of things, uh, all of the shows are themed to the same theme, which is the improvement of yourself. Right. So, ladies, we're going to be going over some questions and comments from the fans, and I mean, this is not a red pill, blue pill, black pill podcast. Some of the comments that I'm going to give you, you're not going to like. I can't apologize for it because I'm a man of uniformity. This is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, but I come from both sides of the fence. That if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, and I speak on it from a perspective that it should make sense. So if it ain't right when one person does it, it shouldn't be right when the other person does it. That I do not agree with double standards. I understand that they exist, but I don't agree with them. So I'm going to be talking about how we can, for the most part, put a stop to some of the double standards that are in our lives that we have control over, but that requires us to stand on our non-negotiable expectations for behavior. So let's go ahead and get started with some of the questions that we've got, and then we will see where we end up.
My husband cheated with a longtime friend. After everything that happened, I decided to contact her husband. Maybe I shouldn't have. I wasn't able to speak with him. Instead, she contacted my husband and told him that I was harassing them. My husband called me and told me to stop harassing them, saying that this was an issue between him and I. He said, "We're the ones that need to talk. Trying to ruin their marriage will solve nothing for you. You're a better person than the type that would needlessly try to make other people unhappy. They are in an open marriage, but that doesn't mean you should harass them when you really should be talking to me. After that, I told him that we should take some space until our marriage counseling session next Tuesday. I suggested that during this time, we both reflect on what we want from this relationship and think seriously about its future. However, today, during another phone call, I found out he is still in contact with her. He told me that he wants to continue his relationship with me and that he still loves me. But at the same time, he also wants to keep communicating with her. He insisted that she would not replace me. He also asked me to at least look into mono/poly relationships. He said that this is not necessarily what he wants, but that he would like us to be able to have open conversations and set boundaries in that kind of framework. I told him clearly that this is not what I want. I said that if he truly wants to rebuild our relationship, he needs to completely cut contact with her and agree to a postnuptial agreement. Right now, I feel like he is no longer the person I've known for the past 13 years. It feels like he has changed completely, like he's been brainwashed. At this point, it feels like we're going to divorce. Another painful thing is knowing that I may not be able to see his family anymore, and that I have to tell my own family about this. I love them so much, and it breaks my heart. I know I can meet somebody else, but it is so hard to let go of 13 years of memories and everything we built together.
Well, I can agree with that for the most part. So it's hard for you to let go of 13 years of memories. It's hard for him to let go of 13 years of memories. I do agree that you guys need to discuss what's going on in your marriage, what's missing in your marriage, but I also understand that while you don't agree with this, there is something in your marriage that is missing that he's not getting, and he's getting it from her, and that is why he wants to include her in your relationship with him because these are things that you probably don't want to do, whether you know it or not. Truthfully, in order for you to have a man to be exclusive to you, because while women don't agree with this, uh, men have multiple options in order to fulfill their needs to procreate and build a legacy. Because one woman can't have 5 kids in 1 year. And women not okay with that. Women want a man exclusively, specifically because the average man, 73% of men, don't make enough money to support two women. Uh, so if the resources have to be divided between two households, the women are threatened. Their provisions in this marriage or relationship has been challenged or compromised. So I can understand how you want him to be exclusive, but the dynamic here is that he is asking you for some flexibility, and there is a reason why. In order for you to find out why he's asking you for the flexibility, not just so that he can go smash another chick, but because there is something there between him and her that's not there with you. And you also recognize that after 13 years, every 10 years, your marriage is going to be something different. Every 10 years. And throughout that, you're going to have to acknowledge that in order for the relationship to last another 13 years, you're going to have to make some changes. Now, you don't have to agree to all the changes and you don't have to bend over backwards to keep the marriage alive. However, you do need to find out what's missing out of the relationship between you and him that has him wanting to include someone else. Then, recognizing you've been in this relationship for 13 years, you likely got married in your 20s, which means that you're either in your 30s or your 40s. If you are unwilling to do certain things and behave in certain ways for your husband, what harm would it cause your marriage to be the woman you want to be for your husband and then allow the other woman to be the woman that he needs? It functions in a lot of different cultures where four different women will share the same husband and only have to deal with him once a week, but get compensated for the entire month. Women don't agree with that in America, in Western culture. But if you were in a relationship where you were emotionally deprived, would you want that fulfilled somewhere? Most women would say yes. which is why they end up in an emotional relationship with the tennis coach that turns into a physical relationship. Some person on social media, the barista at Starbucks, the one guy that's at the female book club, and it just turns into something because if it's not in your marriage, you're gonna find it somewhere else. So getting a post-nuptial agreement, I agree with that. I believe that you guys should sit down and have a post-nuptial agreement of some kind where you guys, without lawyers involved, sit down as adults and agree to separate your assets now and dictate terms about upon divorce, since the divorce is pending, what you will and will not give up. Y'all should have done this long before the marriage. Y'all should have had your assets separated long before the engagement and everything documented. But now that you're here, it's a good idea before the divorce starts happening that you guys get a contract between the two of you that this is kind of a rough draft. This is the way that you guys would separate things. Who gets the house, who gets the car, who gets the furniture in the house. If there's any kids involved, who has primary custody. You know, really work these things out and work it out in a non-judgmental, non-retaliatory, non-resentment fashion where if y'all both wanted the same thing and y'all both can't have it at the same time, that y'all discuss some type of resolution. Well, if you want the whole house, um, then give me half of it. Like for example, if y'all mortgage the house, it's a $500,000 house. Y'all done put two or 300,000 into it over the past 13 years. Y'all kind of been going 50-50 on the situation. You want half the house. You want the house, but he wants his share out of the house. If there's $125,000 worth of equity into the house where you can take a HELOC out on the house, give him his $125,000 in cash, let him take his cash to go get him another place to stay, and you keep the house and take over the mortgage. That's the kind of stuff that y'all can negotiate now so that you don't have to sell the house in divorce court because you've already worked out all the details. Once you work out all the details, then you can take that information, bring it to your divorce lawyer. Now, as it pertains to the marriage counseling, marriage counseling only works if both parties are willing to compromise. You already made it clear that you're not willing to compromise. So if the marriage is going to continue, he has to do away with the other person. In order for him to do away with the other person, you have to bring the value back into the relationship that he's getting from the other person. Now, without talking in circles, as it pertains to you contacting the girl's husband, that was out of line. I know you feel like you got the right to do that, but she slept with your husband. If you got beef with her. You don't got beef with her husband. You got beef with your husband. After he slept with her, it's up to you to tell her to stay away from your husband, and it's up to your husband to tell her to tell him to stay away from the other guy's wife. The other husband ain't got nothing to do with this trifecta here. That's just between you and your husband and the other woman. So there's no reason for you to reach out to the other man's situation and try to destroy his marriage because your marriage is falling apart. And I know a lot of people want to do this. They want to make you want her and your husband to be miserable, so you want to destroy her marriage. But why are you making this other man suffer when he's a victim as well? He's equally as much of a victim in this affair as you are. So why are you going to make that man suffer even more by calling him and stressing him out when he already knows that this affair happened, right? I strongly believe that in a situation where you are that emotionally overwhelmed by the dynamic of the situation, you should take a break from everything, recuperate, try to take your mind off of it, go to a spa, relax a little bit, and then try to revisit the situation from a mature fashion. But if you believe that there is no way for you to feel better about what's going on, you should just look, there goes Michael. No reason to reach out, delete both parties. Exactly. Just do away with it. Just get the divorce, leave your husband, let him do whatever he wants to do with this other man's wife, and just move on with your life. Because there's no reason for you to be in a situation where you're not happy, but there's also no reason why you're going to give your husband unconditional stipulations where he has to not be happy for you to be happy. Both of you should be happy or y'all should separate. That's kind of the most appropriate way to look at it, right? Let's go ahead and touch base with the next one.
I think I liked my girlfriend until I got her, and I'm not sure how to handle this. Hi, sorry if some of this is written weird. I'm not really good with words. We've been dating officially for only a couple days. We knew each other for 2 weeks before she confessed and asked to be my girlfriend. I really liked her and I accepted. When she asked to be my girlfriend, I was extremely happy. But only a couple minutes after, that feeling faded and I felt so empty and regretful, and I immediately wanted to break it off. And since then, I've been wanting to break up so badly. It's not that different from before we got together, but I don't like it. I don't understand why. I wanted to date her. I'm dating her. I should be happy. I don't get why I'm not. Should I just break up right now? Is there something else? Any help would be massively appreciated. Thanks. After a while, I broke up with her. She said it's okay, I don't need to apologize, and we can still be friends. It went well.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. You wanted to sleep with the girl, and the only way that you could sleep with the girl in good conscience is if you were in a relationship with the girl. You got into a relationship with the girl, so you put casual sex into a title. Then the sex wasn't good, and now you're no longer interested. Uh, I don't have very much positive advice for this. There are a lot of men that think with the wrong head. There are a lot of men that are not in it for the right reasons, and they end up breaking up, and sometimes sooner than later. But if you were interested in, because if she was a reasonably attractive woman, you were attracted to her. You knew of her for a couple of weeks. You had a thing for her. Maybe the anxiety um, and fear of the fact that you wanted to smash, but you didn't know how this would look, how this would work out, because you didn't really know how to approach the situation. And those butterflies in your stomach, you took that as attraction, to like emotional attraction. When you clearly lusted for the girl, it's pretty much all it was. And then when you guys kind of got together, y'all started smashing and everything like that. And then you realize, yeah, this isn't what I wanted. Um, you did good breaking up before you allowed her to get miserable, resent you, and then y'all break up. But I also don't believe that it's a good idea for you guys to stay friends. Some women are going to say, no, there's no reason for you not to be friends as an ex. Yes, there is a problem. There is a problem here. And this is going to be one of those times that I'm advocating on behalf of the lady. She has emotional attachment to you. She will not be able to have the ability to establish an emotional attachment with another man while she's still stuck on you. If she's in the friend zone and she has an attachment to you, she will be trying to do as much of the girlfriend stuff as possible to show her affections to you, and you are not interested in her. And any dude that sees her projecting her affections onto you will assume that she is already taken. And outside of a one night stand, they're not going to take her seriously. So ultimately, it is in her best interest for you two not to be in a friendship, since one of you has strong feelings for the other. You guys cannot operate in a strictly platonic scenario because one of you is emotionally invested. The only time friends work is in a strictly platonic situation where there's no emotional investment from either side. If you guys know of each other in college, you're in the same class, you don't know each other's last name, you guys can be in a study group and there's no issue. You guys sit next to one another, you know each other's deepest, darkest secrets, and one of y'all wants to progress this into the relationship. Y'all can't just, oh, let's just be friends after that. No, it just doesn't work. It doesn't matter if it's the dude in the friend zone or the chick in the friend zone. If one of you has emotional attachment and the other one is not feeling it, it is going to get awkward. She's going to end up getting jealous. She's going to end up getting insecure. You guys are going to have long emotional discussions that might lead to sex, but it's not going to be a healthy situation for the two of you. So I strongly believe that you not pursue friends with a person that you know wants to be emotionally invested with you, and you know you don't want to be emotionally invested in them. Now, if your position changes and they're still in the vicinity of your scenario and you want to circle back and try something new, you can swing for the fences. But I would have told her the same thing I tell dudes. If you got rejected the first time by this person, don't give them an opportunity to circle back. So if you're telling her no now, no means no, and there's no going back. And there should not be a friendship after that or anything like that. She took her shot, it rebound, penalty on the play. That's it. There's no reason to linger. No reason to sideline her and then let it linger. Okay, let's go for the next one.
I just want to have a monogamous relationship with my girlfriend. I consider
Mm,
myself polyamorous for years, but never felt happy in a dynamic. It just didn't do what I hoped it would for me. Always tended to date people who were mentally unstable because I was, and I always ended up being told that's not healthy polyamory when they did some fucked up manic episode stuff. And that was when I could get a serious committed relationship at all. Usually people will just treat me like a cheap fuck. Started dating my girlfriend a few months ago, and she's head over heels in love with me. One day, she asked about our status of seeing other people or not, and I kind of word vomited that I didn't need to see anybody else, and I'd appreciate if she didn't either. And she seemed really relieved. Every now and then I get a message from somebody I spoke to before we dated expecting me to pick back up, and I tell them straightforward that I have a girlfriend, and we aren't open to seeing other people at this time. We did agree that maybe when we get old we'll try swinging, but I'm 35 and spent my youth waiting on anyone to take me seriously and felt like nobody ever did until I met her. I wanted to quit the non-monogamy dynamic for years, but felt like that's just how people these days date. I felt so entangled with people who did not care about me. I feel like my girlfriend has finally given me a path out of all that.
okay, so it doesn't sound to me like you were in a polyamorous relationship. That's what it's supposed to mean. Well, no, okay, so a polyamorous relationship is supposed to be a serious relationship with more than one person at the same time. That is not the same as being a man whore. That is not the same as multiple sex partners. That is not the same as casual dating where you're consistently hooking up with a bunch of different random people because the social group that you are involved in allows for you after a certain number of dates that you pay for to smash. That is not polyamorous dating. And if nobody took you seriously, then you would not be in committed relationships with more than one person at the same time. Most women don't tolerate that. The select few that tolerate that have their reasons. Now, he made it clear that he sought after. He said, "I'm game. Call me a stud." Right, but he sought after uh, women that were challenged because he wasn't altogether himself. Now, if she doesn't have as much value in herself as she's supposed to because of whatever's going on in her life, if she's allowing you to do whatever, and you don't have enough value in yourself because of whatever's going on in your life, and you're getting women that are lower than your personal expectations, this is a dynamic where you ain't shit and you're dating ain't shit females, and then you're claiming that your dating experience ain't shit. When you start changing and you find yourself in a position where you start carrying yourself with higher value and you stumble across a person that has higher values and they project those higher values onto you and you start experiencing what it feels like to be higher value, you get a whole new perspective in life. That's not deciding to be monogamous over polyamorous. That's deciding to only sleep with one chick, regardless of if she doesn't want to sleep with you, because this chick gives you the validation that the other chicks didn't do. So kind of got to separate the two. This isn't a dynamic where you were like the one guy that walked in the room with two girls on his arm on a regular basis, right? The scenario where you rode in the back and they rode in the front like your chauffeurs, one's driving, the other one gets the door for you, kind of stuff, right? That's not what this is. This is a situation where you got one girl for 3 to 5 days, and you got another girl that you picked up 2 days in that you had for 7 to 10 days, and this other girl that used to be there that's not there anymore, and then some new girl shows up, and you might be what we would call juggling women, but that's not a polyamorous relationship. A polyamorous relationship is three or more individuals that are exclusive to one another, and there is no emotional or sexual interactions outside of that. That is a polyamorous relationship, right? So if you just have multiple sex partners where you just frequently date, casually dating, that 2025, 2026 style of dating that the Gen Zs are doing, that's not a polyamorous relationship. You might have an open relationship, you might have untitled relationships, no commitment anywhere, but it's not a dynamic where you're dedicated to two, three, or five women. You're not Nick Cannon where you've got like 13 baby mamas and all of them have their own exclusive day and none of them want you to mess with another female. That's not what's going on, right? So kind of got to get a better observation of where you are. But it's good to know that you have decided what we would call retiring out of the game. I don't want to be a player no more. All of those things where you decide that you're going to dedicate yourself and stick to one individual partner. He said, driving Miss David. Well, no, this would be driving Mr. Jim. Sorry, my calendar is full. Exactly. That would be the observation. My calendar is full. There isn't anything else going on here, right? Um, the holistic observation of the situation is fundamentally the same. Um, you're not going to find the right person until you start behaving the right way. So, and being in you said you were 36, being 36, you probably decided that you were going to stop getting into childish interactions with women and start looking for long term. And you probably stumbled across a woman that was actually looking for long term, and you want to see if this works. Some guys are in a situation where they just want to see if they can stick to one girl, and that's not it. He said, "Good night, Dennis." In the morning, hey, good luck with the dentist, buddy. Are you getting a root canal or are you just getting braces or whatever? But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, you talk about with your calendar, like I got stuff to do. I'm going to see the dentist. Hey, it is what it is. I would be making excuses too. Like I'm not trying to deal with these females a lot of the time. And I know some females that ain't trying to deal with these dudes a lot of the times because truth be told, after you've played the field quite a bit, you come to realize this is not what I want. But from sometimes as young as 15, 16 years old. The dudes and the chicks are playing the field, hooking up with folks, smashing, doing drugs, everything like that effect. They live the wild life because we're talking about the 80s babies, the 90s babies, the early 2000s babies, and they was out there living life. And if you didn't get pregnant before you were 18, and you didn't get pregnant before you were 30, and you've succeeded with not having to have any abortions, you're out here in your 30s and you're ready to settle down now. You know, you're ready to turn the odometer back to zero from 9,999,000, and you really want to turn it all the way back to zero and say, okay, I'm going to be a reformed nun now. And in that dynamic, you recognize that you have to change the way you behave because you cannot behave like the girls at the nightclub and think that you're going to get a Fortune 500 man. You cannot behave like the girls at the strip club and think that you're going to get a Wall Street guy. You can't behave like the ones walking the strip and think that you're going to get a Fortune 500 business guy. And guys are going to have to be the same mentality. You can't behave like these little boys with the skinny jeans hanging off their behinds and thinking that you're going to get you an executive woman. You can't behave like the irresponsible and immature guys are sitting on the stoop, not accomplishing nothing with their future, and think that you're going to find a girl that's got it together. So you have to change the way you behave in order to attract better people on both sides of the fence. Girls are going to have to show less cleavage, longer skirts, stop having their butt cheeks hanging out. Stop wearing skin tight clothes and start being more conservative. Guys are going to have to pull up their pants, put on a belt, stop looking like a criminal, and start carrying themselves with respect. And in order for you to attract the other side, you have to look the part. You have to look like a person of value in order for someone across the room to assume that you have value. Even if you don't have enough value, you cannot meet a negative stereotype and assume that you're going to attract a positive result. And this is one of the reasons why Women can wear sexually attractive outfits as single women, but when they get with their boyfriends and get with their husbands, and the men tell them to change that outfit, that's the exact reason why. One, it keeps you out of danger, but two, you are attracting the wrong tension. You don't want to be sexually attractive while in a relationship to men that you are not in a relationship with. Women that have this mindset don't think, hey, I want to look attractive for my man at the house, but in the street, I do not want to look attractive anymore. I've already got a man. He's satisfied with the way I look, but that's not the way things work. Usually in modern times, the women only look attractive when they leave the house. They look like trash at the house. They want their man to love them for who they are, trashy looking in the house, but they want to be sexually desirable outside of the house and a lot of the times away from their boyfriend or their husband. And it's a contradiction because didn't you wear that to get the man that you left at the house? So why are you wearing that outfit now? It's like going fishing. You didn't already pull one out of the water. Now you about to go back and try to get another. And some women are like, no, I just like to feel good. No, that's not what it is. Because when you present yourself to attract a certain type of person, you're now asking for a certain type of interactions. And then you're going to end up in a position where you're not going to be happy with those interactions because that's not what you actually wanted. You wanted like positive attention, but your outfit is attracting negative attention. And you just don't understand that it comes with the territory of that dress that you put, the mini skirt, the crop top, the tube top, the leggings, the booty shorts, the everything else that you got going on, that the hooker heels, those things attracted the wrong attention. And I know that you think that you look cute because all of your friends told you that you look cute, but let's be honest, if you can look at your outfit that you're wearing right now and you can find an escort, an OnlyFans girl, or somebody to the in that industry that's wearing a similar outfit, you're wearing the wrong outfit if you were looking for positive attention. Now, if you were looking for negative attention, then you got to hit the nail on the head because all the guys are gonna stop traffic and walk in the poles paying attention to you, negatively heckle you, try to pick you up for one night stands and everything to that effect. But the dynamic is that for those women that want to be respected for their minds and their skill set, you are not supposed to be emphasizing your bodies. You're supposed to be articulating and emphasizing your mind and your skill set, which requires more modesty. The man's not looking between your legs if you're not showing no leg. He's not staring at your chest if you're not showing skin. You know, they got some of those countries with those religions where they put the dot, the jewel in the middle of the forehead. Look here, right? They emphasize this area so that you can look me in the face, not the rest of me, right? Which allows for you to pay attention and respect, no matter how attractive the rest of her body is. If you're drawing attention to my face, then you look me in the face and respect me for a person. But I mean, if you're drawing attention to everything else, they're not looking you in the face and they're not thinking about anything other than what they can do with the rest of you. Now, that contradicts your ability to be successful. Women are going to say that's because men are misogynistic. Why can't women do whatever they want and then men just respect them as alpha boss ladies regardless? That's because the attire, the clothes that you chose to put on is designed for a specific status of person of low value. And you chose to put that low value outfit on and you chose to attract low value attention. And now you will believe that you're supposed to get high value attention with a low value outfit. And it never works that way. Society is not going to support that. You can't dress like a girl on the strip in the red light district and believe that they're going to treat you like a politician. It's not going to happen. Right. So you got to really dress the way you want to be respected. Now, for those who don't have as much respect for themselves, they're going to dress however they want because freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of autonomy. When you mature and you grow up and you realize that you want to be respected a certain way, men and women alike, when a man wants to start being respected, he's going to stop dressing like a thug and start putting on suits, dress shirts, button down shirts, you dress casual attire, jeans and a polo. He's gonna stop having long white tees and jeans hanging off his kneecaps and Jordans on. He's gonna start finding Doc Martens and Oxfords and everything to that effect. He's gonna start finding better quality attire because he wants to be respected a certain way, and women are gonna have to do the same thing, you know. But it comes at a maturity level that typically doesn't happen until men and women alike are in their mid 30s, early 40s. The difference in the dynamic, though, is that for men, 30, 40, 50 years old, you're getting your money together. Your value is going up. For women, 30, 40, 50 years old, your value was your attractiveness, your virtue, your modesty. And if that's out the window already, you're kind of behind the game. So it's harder for a female to find a man of value. Not impossible, it's just harder. You get to experience all the rejection that men was experiencing when you were rejecting all of the men. Remember when you were 18 to 28 and you had 500 people a day that you had to tell no to? Well, between 30 and 50, you're going to have 500 men telling you no. That's going to be the difference. Your ability to find a partner is going to be harder, not impossible. But when you understand the dynamic of how hard that is, you're going to wish that you would have tightened up years ago. A man can get his money right late in the game. You can realize at 36 years old, I need to start doing better. Start changing the way you do things, start putting money in different places, start building your 20-year plan. By the time you're 60, that guy might decide to link up with that 35-year-old woman. But will a 35-year-old woman link up with a 35 or 40-year-old man? Not 40-year-old man is getting a 25 or 28-year-old woman. So the situation is hard because the 18 to 25-year-old woman is looking for financial stability, and men are not financially stable until they're 40 something. So men want women that are able to provide them with a legacy, and while women can still give birth after 40, it is more dangerous for them. So and then you're going to get less children from them, which means that it's going to be more feasible for the man to get a woman that's younger. So since the situation is crossed, it makes a lot more sense to tighten up younger. But my guy, long story short, you were after the wrong women, and now you found a woman that you want to see if you can make it work with. I hope you don't fuck this up. Because after she walk, it's gonna be a long time before the next woman come up and want to give you a shot. All right, let's go ahead and touch base with the next one.
Caught my husband recording a girl who was changing in her apartment opposite to our building. What should I do now? I am 31 and I found a video in my husband who's also 31 recently deleted folder. I'm not stupid to ask anyone what this means, as even a blind individual can tell he's recording the girl. I have never suspected him in my entire life and could not for the life of me expect this from him. I was in the folder to retrieve a picture I had just accidentally deleted when I saw this. He insists he was capturing the flowers and didn't even know there was a girl. The kind of man he is, he couldn't give two shits about even flowers of gold. His camera was following her. I know men make things up when they're caught and test the intelligence of their partner, but I never thought I'd experience this myself. I was 5 weeks postpartum when he made this video. Infidelity of any kind has been a very hard line between us, and we've been together for 15 years. What should I do now? I've worked really hard in life and been 100% sincere and faithful and have always supported him. This has completely shattered everything for me. It might not seem something very big to some, but the relationship I share, or I thought I did, never had any space for such stuff. What should be my action from here? My husband is not accepting what he did, which is making things worse for me.
Okay, so and this is a good question. I just really want to know what other people think about this. Um, should you be allowed to go through your partner's phone and look for things that could potentially cause conflict and then actually take action against your partners on that conflict? That's a really interesting question. I want to know from you guys what y'all think about that, because my dynamic on this is gonna be clear. First and foremost, we have to recognize uh you weren't watching him record the woman. You went and found the video. Your excuse is going to be that you looked for it and then you found it. That's your excuse. Now, postpartum. Usually, in my observation, postpartum depression typically comes from the separation of, which usually happens sometime around either a birth, a miscarriage, or an abortion. If you're not a mom right now, then likely you either had a miscarriage or an abortion, probably leaning more towards you might have had an abortion. Uh, that's a whole nother topic. But when people are depressed, they typically emotionally shut down. You want your favoritism in the relationship while you're going through a tough time, but you are leaving your partner emotionally abandoned at that time. Now, that does not justify infidelity. However, everybody has their own way of gratifying their own sexual urges. Some people like to project themselves nude in the windows. Some people like to watch that. Some people do porn. Some people do OnlyFans. Some people go and get escorts. It doesn't make it right. But the thing is that he's not hooking up with this girl. So you have to ask yourself, is it more important that he glue his eyes shut and never look at any other woman ever in his life, or is it more important that he's not acting on infidelity with the woman? Because you understand once the infidelity, once the emotional detachment happens, because post-traumatic stress disorder or postpartum depression sets in, the person going through the depression is not able to express the love and affection. They're going to be short tempered. They're going to be irritated. They're going to lash out on some of the smallest things. The person who's not going through postpartum depression is walking on eggshells. So if dude, and most guys do this, sees a hot chick in the window in her underwear, he might be so shocked he might want to show his homeboys, bro, look at what's going on in the apartment across the way. Now, women are going to say that's inappropriate. You shouldn't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Shouldn't have the fucking windows open. My windows are never open. Right. I got black drapes in front of freaking blinds. My windows are never, nobody even knows the light is on because there's so much cover in the window. But there are some people who just like to keep their windows open and do the natural light thing. And they're walking around the house in their underwear. And anybody who can see through that window can see you in your underwear. You're doing it on purpose. Right. So I'm not going to sit here and try to say that the person in the window is innocent, and I'm not going to say that the man looking at her through the window is innocent. But if he was like, "Oh man, I want to show my homeboys that there's this hot chick across the way in her underwear," blah 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 blah, and that was the reason why he took the thing. Now, wife or girlfriend is going to get pissed off that the video exists at all. Doesn't matter what he was going to do with it, whether he was going to use it for his memory bank and get self gratification, or if he was just going to use it to show his homeboys, bro, this is what I got going on next door, right? Because some guys are childish. Some guys are childish. Like, bro, there's a chick next door that like literally deliberately puts herself in front of my room window in a most provocative and exposed fashion. Some guys, oh, show me, prove it, blah 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 blah, and then you know what I mean. They record that shit and then show it to their homies. Now, not justifying what he did. The fact is, once you find a video, you're gonna jump down this guy's throat and you're gonna treat him like garbage. You're already treating him like garbage, but you're gonna treat him like garbage because you found this video. One of the problems that I have with women who use this excuse that I was looking for something else and I found this, the truth of the matter is that's never the case. Because as you explained, he deleted a folder of a video and you caught him, right? So he got rid of it and you went looking to see what it was. If he deleted some shit off his phone and you wasn't trying to find some incriminating evidence, then the shit would have just been deleted. Steven says, if my partner wanted to go through my phone, I would not sweat them finding anything because nothing would be there. The lack of trust would be a red flag for me if I was in a relationship, and the lack of trust would have to be addressed. But see, that's exactly what I'm about to get into, Stephen. The fact is that because a woman will use that excuse, will let me use your phone so that I can take a picture of myself and send it to myself. Now, that excuse, and they get this idea from their homegirls, that excuse, because I got an Android, you got an iPhone, you're going to use my Android to take your photo, then you're going to send it to yourself. Well, now you're in my gallery looking at photos from 15 years ago, photos and videos that I never deleted. Regardless of why I took those photos, you're looking at them. You're going to judge them. Then you're going to judge me. Uh, Ultimately, in 2026, your phone is like your little black book. Your phone is like your private diary. No, if we do not have one phone in the family that's a landline that we share, if everybody's got their own cell phone, no, you cannot go through my cell phone. No, you cannot borrow my phone to make a call. No, you cannot use my phone to look up some shit. You got your own phone for that. Okay. Reason being is because insecurity, and that's like Steven said, the trust would have to be addressed. Insecurity would lead her to use an excuse to go into the phone. If somebody called me and I tell you to answer the phone, you answer the phone for the fact that I told you to answer the phone. But just because you answer the phone doesn't mean that you got to go through all the text messages, scroll back 5 or 7 days. If I got a text message today, the text message itself should be the only thing that you're reading, not the whole text message stream. Not, oh, well, they told you 4 days ago. You're not supposed to be looking at 4 days ago. You're supposed to be looking at today. I gave you an inch, you took a mile. Respect for your partner and the trust in your partner, like Steven said, is very important. So the moment that you stop respecting and trusting your partner, that's the moment that the relationship is dead. That is the moment. You're just going through the phone for self reassurance so that you can either reassure yourself that nothing's going on, even though you still don't trust them. So now you're going to go through their Google data and everything to that effect. You're going to go through all of their apps and you're going to start with the text messages, start with the photo gallery, then go through their emails, go through their Google search, go through all of the apps that they download. You might end up going through some of the video games that they play on their cell phone and go through the DMs over there to see if they're communicating with someone over there so that you can take that conversation from a fourth or fifth party, setting that conversation up in real time. You're only doing that because you're going to use this as a self-validating sign of deception so that you can be the hero with your homegirls and, oh, he was cheating on me and he was doing this dirty, grimy, creepy stuff and it made me feel uncomfortable and blah 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 blah. Really, the truth of the matter was you was tired of his ass before you found the photos and you needed an excuse to get out of the relationship and you found it. That's what it was. You went into the phone because you don't want this relationship anymore and you needed an excuse to get out of it. And once you found it, that was your excuse to get out of it. A lot of people believe that there's supposed to be full transparency in a relationship. Sure, my phone should be unlocked, your phone should be unlocked. I should be able to go through your phone if I want to. You should be able to go through my phone if you want to. But the truth of the matter is that you're not supposed to go through my phone because you trust me. I'm not supposed to go through your phone because I trust you. The same way I'm not supposed to GPS the car to track you, I'm supposed to believe you when you tell me where you are. If I need a GPS location for you to prove to me where you are, then I don't trust you, right? You know, I shouldn't have to FaceTime you and then you show me the environment that you're in so that I can believe that you are where you say you are. You know, if you're in a room with 5 or 7 dudes and you're on a call with me, I'm supposed to have the confidence as a man to know that you're behaving in that dynamic. And if for some reason I don't trust the environment that you're in and I tell you to come home, you should have the respect for me to bring your ass home. But if I don't trust you, the relationship is dead. And if you don't trust me, the relationship is dead. So once we start going into one another's phone, that's it. That's it. So if you want your relationship to last, don't go looking for trouble. Don't go through your partner's phone. Don't go through their photo logs. Don't go through their emails. Don't go through their social media history. Don't go through their Google search history. You know, their phone is their little black box. That is the so a fully transparent relationship should have about 90 to 95% transparency, and the phone is part of the 5% that's none of your fucking business. Plain and simple. Your diary, your journal, the notes from your therapist, your cell phone, that's all in the same category. That's none of your damn business. If your partner cannot behave with that 5% of secrecy, you don't need to be with them. That's the truth. It doesn't matter if it's them or it's you. You don't need to be with them. Let's touch base with the next one.
Girlfriend might be a drug addict. So I have been
Yeah.
dating this girl from January. And back then she was a completely different person. A few months go past and I notice small things change in her behavior. I simply shrug it off like she's just adjusting to everything. Then a colleague of mine finds her Tinder account. It hasn't been active for a while, and obviously I confront her about it. She deleted the app instead of her account, which to this day, I still don't entirely believe. Right there, and then I should have left. However, in person she's still the same as she was in January. She did tell me she's not good over text, which is fine, since we video call most of the time. No, it's not long distance. We both come from very different backgrounds. She's from a village, and I come from a wealthy family. I make 6 times her salary. I financially help her a few times. Medical bills, food, weed, etc. In total, I have spent well over 30K on her in just 3 months of dating. Turns out she dropped out of school and used to do hardcore drugs. She hasn't gone to work in like a month. She's always partying until the morning hours with her cousins. I had to leave the country for a while, and I told her 2 weeks prior so we can make plans to see each other. The afternoon before we meet, she goes crazy and gets blacked out drunk. I honestly can't deal with her shit anymore. How am I supposed to build a future with someone who can't even support themselves? She said she's not good over text, but it's not that difficult to show a slight amount of interest in the conversation.
Okay. Um, First off, Steven said if a woman needs to vent about my BS, I don't need to know it. That is true. Yeah. But remember though, I told you we're supposed to have a no disparagement clause in our relationship. We're supposed to have a non-disclosure relationship. So if you are talking to somebody about my bullshit, it better be your fucking therapist. Because if it's your homegirl, if it's your network that knows of me and may potentially communicate with me, you're violating the terms of our relationship. If you badmouth me to anybody that is not your mental health provider, licensed, registered mental health provider, then you're fucking up. And that is grounds for terminating a relationship. Because if you don't like what I'm doing, you should be able to talk about that with me. Um, but if you need advice on how to deal with something you did where you're taking first person accountability on how you fucked up in a relationship and you are explaining how I am disappointed in you and the actions that I have been performing because of my disappointment, which might be perceived as retaliation towards your behavior, because you're asking for a better way to fix your relationship and your marriage, there might be a slight exception to that as long as you're not speaking negatively about me deliberately. But if you need to vent about my bullshit, uh, you're violating the terms of our relationship. You cannot talk bad about me. You cannot talk about the contents of our relationship unless your safety is an issue, right? And some women are like, oh, well, he's too controlling. Don't talk to me then, because I'm not supposed to badmouth you either. This is supposed to be a mutual dynamic in our agreements where I'm not supposed to talk bad about our relationship to my network. You're not supposed to talk bad about our relationship to your network. We're not supposed to talk bad about each other to society. So if you've got to get a therapist to work out your personal problems with me, then get a therapist. We should have a couples therapist for that reason. But you would have that tuned into your no disparagement clause that exclusively with a licensed therapist that is paid for, where you got receipts and invoices showing that this is a licensed therapist that is not a personal friend of yours, a neutral party. You have to detail all of that stuff in there of the conditions of how this is not breaching the arrangement. Because, yeah, you do need therapy and you do need to vent somewhere, but it shouldn't be with your homies. It shouldn't be with your mama and them so that they're looking bad at me when I come over for the holidays. Now, about this guy. First and foremost, my guy, January wasn't that far away. April is the fourth month of the year. She's behaving different because she's no longer trying to impress you. She up against, she ain't on drugs just because she wilding out at the bar. Most men have no problem with taking a girl that ain't got her shit together and try to fix her and then make her a financial success story. But every man who tries that fails. You were supposed to make better decisions with your female, and you didn't. You picked a problem child that was supposed to be attractive fixer upper thing. Your hero syndrome puts you in a bad relationship, and now you're blaming her. That's not altogether her fault. You chose a problem. That's like going to get an antique car out of salvage yard that you know doesn't have replacement parts for it. And then you're investing all of this money trying to make the vehicle start, knowing that the bitch was put in the salvage yard because it doesn't run. You getting mad at it because no matter how much money you paid for this fucker to run, that it is not going to run without a complete 40 grand overhaul. You have to respect the fact that you put yourself in that position. It ain't the car's fault. It ain't the person who sold you the car's fault. The same way in this dynamic, it's not the girl's fault. You, she has an irresponsible lifestyle. She has an irresponsible lifestyle. You probably got with her because she was a free spirit and her irresponsible lifestyle was attractive to you because you're so uptight. I understand. You thought it was a breath of fresh air. It's not. The way somebody behaves the first day you meet them is likely going to be the way that they behave throughout the time you know them. If anything, their behavior is going to be more severe. And I'm going to say it that way because sometimes you might perceive it as being worse, and sometimes you might perceive it as being better. Somebody who is a stickler about their finances will micromanage the money, not because they don't trust you, but because they micromanage their money. And the more money that comes in, the more they micromanage it until such time as they find somebody who can micromanage the money for them. That's when they start paying somebody else to micromanage the money when they have enough money to pay a third party. But even then, they will be micromanaging the person that's micromanaging their money. They might get daily calls about the portfolio or weekly calls about the assets to ensure and reassure that the money is still there the way it's supposed to be there. The dynamic is still the same. You know, the person is not going to change. So when you started dating them 4 months in, that's a wild child. You might want to say, nope, not going to have it. Right. So Um, I don't believe that she's on drugs. She might use a lot of people who go out and party at nightclubs do take drugs in their partying, and they call that social use, whether it's ecstasy, mushrooms, whatever, drink beer, smoke weed, and whatever social interactions and stuff. But when that person decides to stop going out, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna have like shrooms in the house and the toddler trying to get their hands on it or something like that. They're not gonna have like blunts on the breakfast table with the baby bottle or shit like that. That's not usually the case for individuals that are social party animals, right? The whole party animal dynamic, right? But the party animal dynamic is that the way that they would vent their frustrations in life is that they will drink until they black out. I can tell you back in my day, about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I was always a designated driver, so I didn't drink till I black out. But the goal was to get fucked up cheap. So I would always do my research, always been a research based person. And I would find the cheapest highest alcohol volume, and then purchase two or three of those: strong gin, strong slow gin, some orange juice, grenadine, you know, maybe a little umbrella. Two tall glasses of that get you messed up now, messed up later. But at the bar, it's considered a mixed drink, and it would probably cost you $10 to $15 a glass, $20 to $30 for the entire night, and you're wasted for like 6 hours. The logic was sound. Reach a certain level and cut myself off. $30 at the bar. That's it. $5 tip if I'm an idiot. $35 for the night. Somebody else is in there beer after beer, 250, 300, $400 down the line, right? To get just as wasted, if not more wasted. But I learned at like 20, 22, I could have got a DUI like that. Because even though I came down off of the drinks, the slow gin kicked in on my way home. If I got pulled into the driveway and now I'm feeling it, that's because I didn't have a far drive. But had I had a further drive, had I had to drop off two or three other people, I would have been 3 hours after the nightclub getting pulled over and catching a DUI. Luckily for me, never got a DUI. But I learned from the mistakes of the idiots around me that did get DUIs. And I'm like, you know what? I need to cut this shit out. But I learned at a younger age to cut that shit out. The person you're dating ain't got that far yet. The person you're dating is sitting here thinking, you know what? Uh, it's time to party. I work hard. I deal with stress all day, school, everything like that, relationships, all this other frustration, stuff that I have no control over. I want to relieve my stress and go get hammered. I stopped when uh, uh, other people started fucking their lives up around. But some people don't stop until they fuck their own life up, two or three DUIs down the line. And that is when other people start, because a lot of times the school of hard knocks has to knock on your door before you start tightening up. So I would tell you, my guy, you're 4 months into this relationship with this girl. You're not happy with her behavior in public. That's a situation where you need to discuss with her moderation. And if she lashes out with you about that moderation before y'all get halfway through that discussion, you need to just be like, nope, this relationship isn't going to work because I can't carry you back to the house every time we go places. And I don't want to carry you out of the house every time we go places. That's just the way it is. Now, let's go ahead and touch base with the next one.
How do we come back from this? My husband just told me that he went through my phone the other day and saw old explicit pictures and videos from years ago before we met that I had sent to previous exes and flings and forgot all about that on my phone. He knows I rarely go through my phone gallery to delete anything, but it's still not an excuse for me. I have taken complete accountability on that on my hand and told him I would remove all of that off my phone. I'm not sure how we come back from this since he was telling me that his perspective of me has changed and that if he had known that I had been sending nudes in the past to other men, he would have not dated me. Also, he says he can't even look at me now without thinking about those contents. I understand he is hurt by what he saw, but I feel judged by my past, which I have tried my best not to do with him. What can be done so we can come back from this?
Mm. Okay, so first, he shouldn't have been looking. He should have minded his own dang business. But since he found it, my logic behind this is going to be straightforward. Um, your phone is your personal private possession, and without my permission to search my history to find negative information to start conflict with, it is my observation that it's none of your business. So if you found it because you were snooping behind my back, like a warrant, you cannot use that as incriminating evidence to make me feel bad about whatever I did in my past. Okay. It's like, a drug dealer that's got a pound of cocaine in the trunk. You broke the trunk to get into the trunk so that you could look for this cocaine without a warrant. You didn't have a drug dog sniff. Even if you found it, you can't charge me for it because you didn't acquire it from an ethical position. As a result, I'm not supposed to receive negative consequences because you found it from an unethical position. That same logic, if you're snooping through somebody else's phone without their immediate consent to go snooping, then you're not supposed to find anything that will then be used to incriminate the other person in what would turn into an emotional attack from the other person, right? So my observation of that is going to be clear. If he found the photos and the photos were of inappropriate behavior by you, he has to get over that shit. Now, if he can't get over it, then he needs to leave. And he needs to leave because he can no longer trust you the way he used to trust you. He looks at you differently, whatever, whatever, whatever. If y'all can't go to therapy and he get over that bullshit, because he put himself in that position. You didn't put him in that position, right? Because this is stuff that happened before y'all got married. But welcome to being a guy, because this is what guys get. A guy will be it is now content data taking up space in his phone because it would have happened 3, 5, 10, 20 years ago, so long ago he forgot it was even there. And not every most people don't delete their emails, and they don't delete their photo logs until their primary email is overwhelmed with data space and they don't want to pay the extra $2 to $10 with Google in order to get that extra 2 terabytes of data space. Because if they're willing to pay for the extra data space, they won't even delete the past content, but there's so much information there that they don't need because they never look at it, they don't go back and research it, it's just there. It would take you days to go through 20 years worth of phone data and delete all of the videos and photos of yourself that are inappropriate, all of the videos and photos of other people that it's inappropriate, uh, any exes that you would have been in relationships with, delete all of that stuff before you get into a new relationship. And most people don't think about that. Most people block the last person that they talk to, and that's it. But the communication log is still there. Any photos and videos that y'all sent to each other is still there. It just takes up space. The only time that the whole thing starts anew is when you get a brand new cell phone with a brand new SIM card, and for some reason your Gmail doesn't back up to your phone. That's the only time. Beyond that, with data backed up, it's going to always be accessible. So your partner should not give a shit about what you do and who you are before they met you, unless what she was doing involved 2 or 3 guys in an inappropriate position. That is a scenario where if you found out that she was behaving like a 304 back in the day, which, let's be honest, most women have, there are very few that have not wild out at some point in 18 to 25. Most women have. They might have not have had more guys than Little Kim. They might have not have had like 10 guys at one time. But a lot of girls have had multiple partners between 18 and 25, some in the same day, not all the time at the same time, but they have had multiple partners in a short time span, whether it's once a month, whether it's once a week, whether it's 3 times today. Women have done that at some point in their early years when they were more attractive. Now that they're in the 30s, that's a distant memory. You got girls that joined the sororities and the things that the sorority girls used to do that they're not willing to do now that they're politicians. You can't hold that against them if you're looking, unless you're going to go to another country and find a girl that doesn't have that history accessible. Because one of the things you got to realize is that human beings, men and women, behave similarly in all countries. Guys are going to be more promiscuous than girls in the younger days, trying to get laid as often as possible. Girls are going to have a lot of guy partners because they're going to allow themselves to get laid by all of the attractive guys. Girls are going to try to settle down. The older they get in certain societies, the less men look at them. The older men get, the more men get their money together, the more women are looking at them. It's going to be the same in most societies. So it's hard to find a 30-year-old virgin as a female. It's hard to find a 25-year-old woman without a child that hasn't had multiple abortions. So you have to recognize that if she got around when she was in her early teens, 18, 19, 20, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then she cut that shit out around 23, and you meet her at 31 and it's still in her phone, let that shit go, bro. Because as I tell women that you got to give men a redemption. Men have financial redemption, but women have ethical redemption, virtue redemption. And I mean, there is a level of it that can be tolerated as long as the guy isn't searching for negative history from her past. Yeah, he said, I ain't tripping off the past as long as that is not the present. And as long as no STDs are present, I'm cool. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So here's the thing. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna give a retired OnlyFans girl or a retired porn star a chance at a new life. But I am gonna say that if you were just sending nude photos to your boyfriend or you were sending nude photos to a hookup from like 10 years ago, I'm not gonna really hate that. But I mean, if you're in one of those videos where you're holding two different guys and you've got a third guy behind you and you're in one of those type of positions, yeah, I'm not fucking with you. As soon as I find that, that's it. I'm going. It doesn't matter if you've been in that position before. What matters is that now I know about it. And now that I know about it, I'm not going to be able to look at you the same way. So if it's just a couple of pictures, like you're kind of cupping yourself or the inappropriate pose or back shot with no panties. I don't really care about. I'm probably gonna get that and use it as a screensaver since a lot of people already know it exists. But I'm not gonna treat you different because you sent this to somebody else 2 years before you met me. I don't really think. And really, to me, I feel like the guy has just found his grenade for the relationship because you've always held him to a certain standard and projected yourself as Miss Perfect. And then he found all of this incriminating stuff that you're not perfect either. And he's just kind of holding it over your head for a little bit. But the relationship is going to continue moving forward because as soon as you start talking to him about staring at some chick at Walmart, he's going to be like, oh, yeah, well, what about those photos about the you sent to those guys and da 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 da. That's really all that is. It's petty and I don't agree with it. And he shouldn't do that. But that's what's going on right now. How does your relationship bounce back from this? You've already apologized. You shouldn't have. You should not have had to apologize because you didn't do anything wrong. These photos didn't happen during your relationship. He found them in your history, but you've already apologized. So since you apologize at this point, this is a moment where he needs to get over it. If he needs therapy, go to couples therapy. If he's jealous because he didn't get this side of you, start doing it with him. Communicate with each other. Work out his discomfort so that he can move past this. And then, since you do anything unfaithful, just reassure him that he will be the only person you will do that with going forward. And beyond that, if he's not satisfied with that, just go. Because even as a female, you cannot continue to be devalued by your husband or your boyfriend because you did something unconscionable 5 years before you met him. The same way I would tell women that you cannot drag a man through the mud behind his ex when his ex ended long before he met you. The way he treated his ex ain't got nothing to do with you because he left his ex for a reason and then he got with you for a completely different reason. And you're supposed to respect the fact that he got you now, not what he did with the ex in the past. Now, if he did something dangerous with his ex and causing harm to his ex's safety, and you're starting to see the same signs in your current relationship, that's a red flag. If you were dating Chris Brown and he beat up 21 other girls and you're girl number 22, that might be a red flag. But if he gave a love letter to a girl 10 years ago and he's using some of the same words when he's talking to you now, that is not your damn business. Pay attention to the fact that the same way he felt back then is the same way he feel about you right now and appreciate that shit. Right? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Is my boyfriend cheating on me? Is it normal for a man who is in a relationship to keep on hearting a woman post in Facebook and Instagram?
Heck, even sending a emoticon. Is this enough reason to break up with him? And if it's, should I discuss this things first or just straight up break up with him? By the way, we just got together this January, but we have known each other since last September. And I sort of lack a relationship experience. He's just my second boyfriend. Ooh. I'm not really jealous, but it's just annoying, like why comment a smiley face with hearts? It's embarrassing. I'm not socially active on those apps. Actually, a friend of mine sent it to me. I read the comments. There's honestly a backstory with this. One time, not intentionally, I saw a pop-up notifications from his phone WhatsApp, which he specifically told me that we don't use that anymore. And I remember the name, and coincidentally the girl's username on Facebook and Instagram is the same. So I think I made my decision and will straight up break up with him later after my work with a screenshot and all and block him.
So what happened was, I don't know if you caught this, Steven, but I caught this shit. Her homegirl took a screenshot of him liking and commenting on some chick's platform. She sent that to her friend, and now her friend is about to break up with her boyfriend. That's what just happened. Um, the understanding is going to be this. Look, first, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the likes, the heart stars and horseshoes, clovers and balloons, pots of gold and rainbows and the red balloon. Let's talk about all that stuff, like Lucky Charms. From the man's perspective, ladies, when a man hits a like button on a photo, that doesn't mean that we're going to go talk to the girl. That doesn't mean that we're going to jump into her DMs and try to smash. If we make a sly comment in the moment, that doesn't mean we're going to try to get her phone number. That doesn't mean we're going to meet up with her in person. That doesn't mean that we're going to try to smash. Okay. When women do this on social media and communicate with guys who are trying to smash, women claim that there's no harm there because she has no interest in the man. Why is it that if a woman can have a social media platform and have hundreds of men in her DM, like the other guy that was talking about how his girl had a Tinder account that she deleted the app without deleting her profile? Why is it that a woman can have a social media platform and communicate with the opposite sex, but a man cannot communicate on a social media platform? I don't understand why the double standard exists there. Truth of the matter is that Steven's got it. He said, "This is why I don't mess with social media and these younger females." Truth of the matter is, once you get it, if you're on the social media platform for the sake of entertainment, if you're just liking stuff as you pass by so that you can be shown more similar content, you're triggering the algorithm. It ain't about the person, it's about the content. Like, well, that chick looks attractive. I'd like to see more content like that. That sports car looks good. I'd like to see more content like that. It's like giving a thumbs up on Netflix. It doesn't mean that if you watch Sex in the City and you give thumbs ups on Sex in the City that you're going to try to smash the main character. It doesn't mean that if you thumbs up Friends that you're going to try to hook up with Reese or Ross or Megan or Phoebe, for Christ's sake. It's not like if you thumbs up How I Met Your Mother that you're going to be trying to hook up with the girls. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, I thought this content was sweet. Like, send me more content like this. That's all that heart does, right? And then if you send the smiley face emojis, that's a filtered version of hey, right? That's it. That's all it is. But since people are insecure on both sides of the fence, men and women alike, the most appropriate way to handle this situation, because I know women are not going to want to disable their accounts and all of this other shit. They're going to want to just delete the app so that if they break up, they don't have to rebuild their social media platform. If you're playing for keeps, you're going to delete your social media apps first and then delete the app. So delete your account, disable your account, then block the app, and then delete the app off of your phone. That's how you're gonna do it. You're gonna get rid of your entire followership. Now, if your social media platform is supposed to be how you make your money, it's a little bit different. You're probably not going to delete that because that's a source of income. However, how you interact with people is going to be completely different. You're probably, since you're now in a relationship, going to have a large quantity of photos of your significant other in your profile so that people know that you're taken. You might have your entire profile's thumbnail have at least one picture of your man in the photo so that other dudes know there's a dude here. And truth be told, that is really all it takes a lot of times. Because no matter who I've doom scrolled before, and I be doom scrolling, and I'll see a chick like, she cute. But then when she like wrap her arms around a dude, and I'm like, oh, she fucking him. I don't even want to talk to her no more. Like that's it. That's like the mental dynamic. It don't take nothing else. So um for the sake of the dynamic, if you're turning a profit off of the platform appropriately, let's say you're just modeling clothes or just modeling makeup. And when I say modeling clothes, I'm talking about like evening gowns, uh, uh, pantsuits, like appropriate clothes, not lingerie, not underwear, not like provocative stuff. If you're like regular, normal clothes, the kind of clothes you would put your daughter in, you're modeling those clothes to so and getting paid for it, endorsement deals and stuff to that effect. Yeah, by all means, make your money, be appropriate. They're going to drop comments regardless. Don't respond to none of them. Let it be, right? But here's the thing. The same way dude could hit a like button on some of the comments that or some of the photos that he look at. As the host of the channel, females might actually see certain comments like that was a good comment. Not like, oh, I'm a smash, and she might like the comment. Is it inappropriate to like a comment of somebody who made a comment? Some women will say no. But if a dude does it, women will say no. My perspective is I feel just like Stephen feels. Once you get to a committed relationship where you consider this a long term, forever kind of dynamic, even though it's not going to be forever, it might be 2 years, it might be 10 years, and then it'll end. When it ends, you start your portfolio back over. You start your platform back over. You dismantle your whole platform. When you get into what you believe is supposed to be a long-term committed relationship, just get rid of everything. Get rid of your Tinder, delete the profile. Don't just log off, delete the profile. Yeah, I know it took a lot of time to curate it, but by the time you get out of this relationship, you'll be a different person anyway. So delete the profile, all the photos and everything. Just dismantle your whole account. The same way Raymond Reddington disabled his network on Blacklist before the last season ended, dismantle everything so that there's nothing left of you on social media, and then delete all of the apps. That's how you do it. You'll find one, you got more attention for real time interactions with your partner. Because when you're in a relationship, you're doom scrolling on the couch, he's doom scrolling in a chair on the other side of the room. Y'all are not interacting with one another. You're on your phones. You'll come to find that there's emotional distance between the two of you in accidentally. Because like when you want attention, he's doom scrolling on his phone, and when he wants attention, you're doom scrolling on your phone. If you dismantled all of that, when you had time to doom scroll on your phone, you got time to go spend time with your partner, start up a hobby. And that ultimately puts a stop to him looking at other chicks and paying attention to other chicks' behavior and liking and stuff like that, subscribing to their platform to get more photos and videos like that. Because it's a dopamine hit, it's stimulating his the endorphins that allows him to get what he's not getting in person from you, which is the type of attention that stimulates that portion of his mind. So just get rid of all the social media apps and then just give him your undivided attention. Do a hobby that he likes, and then invite him to a hobby that you like. And y'all will find the way us 80s babies was able to get through life without the internet, you will find that you can get through your relationship without the internet. Now, granted, one of y'all is going to have this podcast so that this podcast can help y'all do better in y'all life. But beyond this podcast, everything else y'all should do away with, right? That's pretty much like the best way to resolve that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one.
Is this cheating and should I tell the other girl? I was dating someone about a year ago, things were going amazing in my eyes. All of a sudden, he started pulling away and acting weird. He gave me the whole it's not you it's me thing and how he was going on this camping trip with a friend etc. and we weren't gonna see each other for a bit and I was fine with that it's life. Then he later admitted before this camping trip he lied to me and that he's going solo. And I got upset saying why lie about going solo I just care if he was safe etc. For some odd reason, he thought I'd try to invite myself on this trip and that's why he lied. I'm not that type. We were seeing each other for a little over 3 months. I wasn't ready for a camping trip personally together. He said he was depressed and needed to find himself etc. I said, yeah, you've been a bit off. I just didn't want to say anything. Time goes by, he goes on said trip and then abruptly ends it with me afterwards a few weeks later over text. I was devastated since this was the first time I let someone in after a 4-year relationship. A month after he ends stuff, he comes back regretting it. We date a little longer and same thing kinda happens, his mental health and he has too much going on. Fast forward we don't talk again and then months later this year he hits me up, acting normal. I'm over it by now and just give him whatever responses. I'm trying to move on but don't feel like he did anything to warrant blocking etc. Anyways, I saw him following a girl on social media. I look at the girl's page, he was on that said camping trip with her. He told me he was alone. I can't tell by her page if they're dating, but it's long distance if they are. It seems like she last visited in January and my guess is that she came to him around 3 times in the duration I've known him, around a year. She doesn't live in the United States. Does this constitute cheating when we had agreed to be exclusive? Is it messed up to tell the girl? She's a lot younger than him and that gave me a huge ick considering it seems like they met when she was 20 and he was 27. I feel so betrayed and lied to from someone I felt I could trust at the time. I haven't brought this up to friends.
Your friends know now. Uh, so she, let's let's look at this about the. Let's start off from the first half. You had a dude. He was allegedly going through some emotional stuff. You didn't do anything about it. You let him wander off, right? So that's your contribution to this. He only knew you for a few months. He's going out on a camping trip. He lied about it, said he was going out with the dudes. He comes back and now he's going solo, but he's not actually going solo. He's going with some chick. That scenario ends. He comes back. You guys get back together. Then he's got another issue, and then he's gone again, and this continues to happen. Now you find out after getting on social media that the timeline of when he was absent in your life and when he was present in her life links up. Is that effectively cheating? Yes, it is. Probably the one time I've got no excuse for the fella. However, I also have to recognize is that you yourself have to pay attention to how you were involved in this relationship and how this relationship went bad from your actions or lack of actions that has absolutely nothing to do with, oh, I just chose the wrong guy. What didn't you do with the way you treated him that allowed for this to progress? What signs did you ignore when he came back that allowed it to happen a second and third time? Then, from the perspective of how the guy fucked the situation up, I don't know why he was with you, probably as a backup plan, but the girl that he was interested in, that's the one he pursued. When it stopped happening, whether they were on a break or she went back to her country or whatever the case may be, he came back to you. The understanding is that people sometimes, men and women alike, will sometimes break up in their relationship. Sometimes they make it your fault, sometimes not. But they will do this push pull thing where they will break up. And during the breakup, they will sleep with whoever it is that they wanted to sleep with. Then, after that affair is over, then they'll come crawling back and then get back involved with you. Everything's good for a while. And then again, the breakup happens again. Y'all have an on again, off again relationship. In their good conscious mind, them breaking up with you keeps them from cheating on you directly because you were broken up at the time. The reason why I'm going to say that it's infidelity is because he planned to break up with you to be with the other girl. That's where the infidelity came from. The mindset of disloyalty before the actions. That is where the infidelity came from. And typically, when we talk about this, when women do it, I talk about it the same way. You had to have investment in the other person long before the breakup occurred in order for the affair to happen shortly after the breakup. Now, it's going to take a lot longer for a man to do it than it is for a woman to do it, specifically because men get rejected so often. Over the course of a year, a man might get one woman to say yes out of a number of women that he's communicated with. So if you are the girl that he's dating and there's another girl 2 weeks after y'all broke up, that means he's been talking to that girl for 3 to 6 months. Strictly platonic, maybe. But once he thought that the relationship between him and her was going to progress, you and him fell apart. This is one of the reasons why women are very cautious about men on social media, because if a guy can find an alternative, he may pursue that alternative. So to prevent a guy from having alternatives, females don't usually allow the men to pursue any ability to have connection with the outside world, because there's a strong possibility that that will lead to him cheating on her or leaving her for another person. But if the man was getting everything that he was looking for at the house, there isn't a reason for him to go anywhere else. So he fucked up because, yeah, he cheated. He didn't do what he was supposed to do in this relationship. But, oh, and then Steven, not you, it's me, blah, blah, blah. Once he left, that was it. That should have been it. He should not have come back. When you allowed him to come back, that was your second mistake. Because your first mistake was the reason why he left the first time. Your second mistake was allowing him to come back without fixing the reason why he left the first time. Your third mistake was letting him leave a second time without fixing the mistake from the first two times. Your fourth mistake was letting him come back a third time. Do you see how this is working? Right? Whatever caused the breakup the first time wasn't fixed during the relationship, and that's why y'all broke up inside of 3 months. And it wasn't just him being involved with another woman. It was what you weren't doing as a girlfriend or a wife. And the reason why I say that is it takes two people to come together. It takes at least two people to fuck this up, because the third person can fuck the situation up. You jealous of how he got with somebody else. But the fact is that whatever he was missing out of the relationship with you, he will get that from somebody else. So in order for you to have a healthy relationship going forward, you have to first get over this guy. Second, get over the other relationship that you had for 4 years. Third, figure out the common factors between these two breakups where you went wrong, not the other person. You went wrong. Because the common factor in both breakups between this guy and the guy before him is you. And if you fix that shit, the next guy that you get involved with is less likely to leave you for the exact same reasons. A woman that's been cheated on by 5 different men, the first man would have been a fluke. The third man, there's something wrong with you. The fifth man, you're ignoring what's wrong with you. And that goes both ways. But typically with men, all the women left for the same reason. His ass was broke. Once he realizes that once he gets with a woman and gets it deep enough into the relationship where she starts looking at his finances ain't up to par. She breaks up with him because he's got too much financial problems that she don't want to deal with. It don't matter what's going on. Ultimately, she left because his ass was broke. Now, once he realizes that and he stops dating for a while, he gets his money right, he starts building up his capital, he's got more money than he's got bills. The next girl that he gets with isn't gonna leave him because he's broke, because he ain't broke no more. But if he's dating a girl with his broke ass and she leave him and then he go and pick up another chick without fixing the problem from the first relationship and she leave him, now he's got baggage from two relationships. He's dating this third girl. She gonna leave him because of the baggage and he broke. Fourth girl, fifth girl, so forth and so forth. At some point, he's like, fuck this. I'm gonna retire out of the dating game because I keep having failed relationships. But when you look back, what did all the women complain about? Because they had a common complaint. It wasn't just your attitude. It wasn't just whether or not you was good in bed. It was also because your ass was broke. Y'all had money problems. You have childish, wasteful spending habits, spending too much money on video games, not enough attention to her. There's going to be a lot of shit that was going to be there. But the fact is that once you find a common problem in all of those relationships and you fix that, that's no longer going to be a complaint in the next relationship. Steven says there can be some doubling back if I'm not in another committed relationship, but not a committed relationship. Steven, if you've got a casual sex partner where y'all aren't in a committed relationship, but y'all exclusively sleep with one another because a lot of people don't feel comfortable with having a bunch of random sex partners because they don't want to be susceptible to as many STDs, you're you're in a sense doubling back because you're sleeping with this person again, but you're not really pursuing it much further than the occasional one night stand, once a month, once a season, once every 6 months kind of situation. Whenever you're in time, we're gonna hook up kind of situation. Um, but when you're in a committed relationship, and that committed relationship was supposed to be a date to marry type relationship, long term type relationship, and that shit fail, I don't care if I'm not in another committed relationship. I should not double back to a failed committed relationship. It's like going back to a job you got fired on just because they need help and you need money. You didn't like the job for a certain reason. You didn't like the way you was being treated. You didn't like the pay. They didn't like you for certain reasons. They didn't like your vocabulary, your dialogue, your lack of respect for authority, the way you did the job, and y'all parted ways. Once you left that long term job, there is no reason for you to go back, not even out of desperation. Same thing with a committed relationship. Once y'all break up, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, 5 years, y'all broke up. That person is, if this was a playing card game, now in the graveyard and is unable to be replayed again. She is the card that is in the discard pile that can no longer be drawn and replayed. She has been removed from the game permanently. It's equivalent to a black card or a red card in soccer. It's equivalent to the red flag or the black flag on a play in football. It's equivalent to being ejected from baseball. Yo ass ain't coming back, right? When we circle back out of comfort, this is why we circle back out of comfort. I'm used to this person. We know how to satisfy each other. We'll circle back. We still have feelings for that person. Chapter unclosed, unreconciled situation where we still haven't gotten our closure yet. And we circle back. The problem is you still have the resentment. You haven't had a chance to act on the resentment. You have not grown from the failure. And now you're in a situation where you're trying to make it work without growth, without improvement. And your resentment on top of your pet peeves, whatever caused y'all to break up the first time from your perspective, the shit she did that you didn't like is going to be 10 times worse from your observation. And whatever shit that you did that she didn't like is going to be 10 times worse from her observation. The difference is The first time y'all broke up, I wish I could have said, and I wish I could have done that list of things. The second time you're in a relationship, that's what they're gonna do. Breaking TVs, breaking computers, keying cars, setting shit on fire, cleaning out your bank accounts, uh, 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 maxing out your credit cards, getting you fired off your job, ruining your reputation, ruining your social network. They may isolate you away from your friends and family to prove your devotion to them and then shut you down where you no longer have a support group to help you recover from the breakup. The second time, third time, fourth time around in your relationship with the same person might be catastrophically more toxic and catastrophically more dangerous for you as well as the other person. So there should never be a doubling back from a failed committed relationship. Now, you met somebody in the club, you don't know their name, you smashed one day last year, y'all found each other in another event in a completely different area, y'all didn't even exchange phone numbers, but you met this person and you feel like you want to smash again, you have no history outside of the one night stand. Oh, yeah, you can double back on that. But y'all dedicated time and effort into each other and it failed. There is no reason why you're doubling back on that. You are asking for failure a second time because you personally haven't grown and you know the other person hasn't grown. And the reason why the person hasn't grown, who thought that? They came back to you, they haven't grown. You go back to them, you haven't grown. Because if you grew, the reason why you left them is the reason why you're not going back. If they grew, the reason why they left you is the reason why they're not coming back. If neither one of y'all have grown, the unresolved issue is ignored by missing the feeling that you had when y'all were together because you haven't gotten over the past. You haven't gotten over the past in a good way, but you also haven't gotten over the past in the bad way. And that bad way is going to be what's going to cause the second and third attempt to be worse than the first attempt. So I would never circle back. If I thought that a conversation with a female didn't go right the first time, I'm not about to make a second swing at it. I'm not going to come back in a different outfit and try to impress her a second time. This isn't 51st dates where she doesn't remember me from yesterday. She knew me yesterday, and if she thought I wasn't shit yesterday, I'm not going to try to convince her otherwise today. You know what I mean? If I didn't have value in her yesterday, I am not going to try to find different value in her today. You got to talk to a whole new person. There's like, what, 4 billion women on the face of the earth? 8 billion people? You can fall in love 150 times in a lifetime. You have told at least 20 to 50 people since you were 14 that you're not related to that you love them. That means there's 100 more people left that you can fall in love with. And you're 30, 40 years old. At this point, that's 2 people per year. There's no reason why you can't find at least one other person that you can start over with without the baggage from the past people. If you can honestly find an emotional attachment to 2 more people per year for the next 40 years, at 36 to 45, you can find 2 more. That's a once every 6 months. You should be able to find somebody. And with those numbers, even if you don't find somebody to fall in love with once every 6 months, you should be able to keep your ability to pay attention to higher value. Where the one time in the next 5 years that you do come across somebody that you're ready for it. That's what you want to do. You want to spend the next 1 to 5 years grooming yourself to be ready for the next one, not circling back to the last one. And another reason why it's better for you to do it to be ready for the next one, not circling back to the last one, because what if you circle back to the last one and the right one shows up and you're currently in a relationship? That's when you missed out on an opportunity for something better. And I know we're always afraid that we settled for the wrong person. And I know that we're always wondering, what if, what if, what if? But you should never be giving somebody else a second chance, missing out on a first chance with someone new. You want to see if the first chance is going to work out. If it doesn't work out, they don't get a second swing at it, right? They, you got to wait your turn. I mean, there's 4 million people got to go through this. It was what 386 million Americans in the United States, and about 165,000 of them are women. If you just stayed in the United States, if you've had 200 women in your life, and that's a decent quantity of number for a guy, if you had 2,000 women in your life, that's like alpha male status kind of stuff. You still got a couple million women that you haven't experienced, right? Which also means that you can at least find one more woman that you can give your time of day to that would hopefully treat you better than the last 2,000 women that you engage. So there's no reason to double back. Now, that's all I got for tonight's comments. Special shout out to Stephen and Michael for giving us what they gave us for tonight. That was a lot of good insight, a lot of words of wisdom. My men are growing and maturing in ways that I never thought possible. And I'm proud. I'm proud. I'm proud. I'm very proud. And I found out that the third shirt goes good with this top. I got the black and white tie. I got the white stripe on the thing. I'm loving the way these guys embroidered the shirt for me. I really like this. Not going to see myself wearing a shirt every day, but I am going to try to wear it at least once a week. I'm going to figure out which day out of the week I'm going to wear it. Probably on the political days. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. But either way, tomorrow we're going to be talking about some in-depth stuff because we're going to be talking about what's going on with the negotiations, and then we're going to be talking about the details of the draft and how this is going to impact everybody and their kids. Because since they're drafting 18 to 26, those of us that are in our 30s and 40s, they're not going to draft us. But if we have kids that aren't yet 18, or if we plan to have kids in America, this is something that's going into effect now that will impact our children, and what we should do about it is something that we're going to be discussing on Monday. And then we've got a couple of shows that we're going to be putting up for Tuesday and Wednesday about ways to make money in other countries to live in. And then we have, you see the rest of the month up there for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. So like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are like up, like in the last week, kind of the most recent information kind of stuff, because those are breaking news topics. But Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday topics are more evergreen topics that, whenever I cover it, it is going to be valuable at that time. It's not time sensitive kind of topics. So I want you guys to make sure that you follow us for the rest of the week. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Take a look at the membership. It is highly valuable. I'm going to be dumping a lot of stuff in there. I keep telling y'all I'm going to be dumping a lot of stuff in there. And as I get through the month, you start seeing stuff just popping up in there. Instead of it being pre-scheduled, it's just popping up in there when I can get to it, because one, I'm 2 weeks behind with editing, so I got to start doing the editing thing. Then two, I'm trying to see about getting that stream key for TikTok, because since Twitter backed out of the trifecta, I have room now for TikTok, so I'm just gonna throw TikTok up there as soon as I can get that stream key for TikTok, which saves us in our budget. Then that means Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I got more time to put more extra stuff into the membership. So you'll start seeing 3, 5, 7 different concepts that I told you guys that I was going to cover popping up in one weekend and being spread throughout the rest of the month. And that's one of the reasons why we've already got all of the days that um, stocks are going to be up for dividends over the next month, so that you over the next 2 months, so that y'all don't miss it and I don't miss it, because it's going to be in there. But I'm going to give you guys updates, because I know I'm going to be giving you updates on gold, silver, platinum, uranium, and stuff like that, and then other such things. So I want to make sure that you guys pay attention to that, because these things are very valuable to you. It helps you with your doing your research. It helps you with making your decisions, because I don't want you to just do it because I told you to do it. I want you to do your research and feel confident in doing it, because it will benefit you financially. I know it's benefiting me financially. I know that it could benefit you financially, but in order for you to do it, you don't do it because I said so. You do it because you recognize that it benefits you, right? And then when you see the profits that you get behind it, you're like, shit, everything he said pays for itself. That's my mantra. It's the cost of doing business when you're making more money back off of it than what you're spending. A millionaire mindset is not how much does this cost, it's how much return will I get off of my investment and how soon will that return come. When you're investing in a stock portfolio that charges you $36 a year or $32 a year for the annual membership, and you can get back $50 of return in 1 month based on the quantity of money that you invested in the dividend shares that you get back. Now you're looking at, I can get back my initial investment, and that initial investment, the service fees for utilizing the fintech is a tax deduction. So it pays for itself. Once you realize where it pays for itself and how quickly you can get that return, how quickly you can recoup on your investment, that's when you start finding value in it, and that's when you start investing heavy on it. I understand everybody wants to pay down all of their debt, Steven. I know you tell me all the time, I'm going to get my debt down first and then I'm going to give it a swing. Bro, hands down, the first thing you need to do is take a budget out of paying down your debt and invest it. As your debt gonna get paid down regardless, but if you start investing and do the drip, invest, do the drip, let it reinvest, you Gucci. Now, what'll happen is eventually them credit cards is gonna be paid off, but as the credit cards go down, your portfolio goes up. Once you reach zero with your credit cards, you're gonna have that a certain value with your portfolio. Then you're no longer paying down credit card debt. You're actually just paying into your portfolio. And when you're able to balance the budget and rotate things out where you're putting it on a card, paying the card down later, and then having a $0 or $2 balance on your credit card every month, and you start building up your lines of credit, you will find yourself in a better position. The cards are done and you're working on the car now. Okay, now car notes is going to be forever because the car note is like 5 years. But here's the other thing: your car note usually is somewhere around 14% interest, and a lot of the REITs that I was telling you about was like 20% interest, and the average portfolio might be 12 or 15% interest. But the benefit of it is that if you're paying down loans, the mortgage on your house, and sometimes even as a W-2 worker, the loan on the car can be, when you're paying on the interest of a loan, can be a deduction on your taxes where the profits you're getting back from your portfolio will be covered by the money that you spent on your car note, on the interest for your car note. So, and I tell you what, I'll do some digging, and I'll try to put some information on that in the membership so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But if you got a car that you got 2, 3, 4 more years that you got to pay on, now that you've paid down the credit cards, you can do like I told you before. You could take a lot of your monthly bills and put them on your credit card, so that you can rearrange your budget, put some money on your brokerage account, then pay down those credit cards. Never spend more money than what you've got coming in on your paycheck. That way you can pay your credit card down so that your credit cards are always at zero or around $2. And then you put a budget aside to put on your brokerage account, because ultimately you're going to start with your brokerage account because it pays dividends, and then you're going to work yourself into things like real estate. You're going to work yourself into things like gold and silver. You're going to work yourself into things like Bitcoin. But having a cash portfolio or a cash paying portfolio benefits you down the line. If you don't have an emergency fund and you start your emergency fund by building up a portfolio that's giving you back average 12%, you're getting more money back off of taking the money that would have been sitting in your savings account in case of an emergency and putting it into a brokerage account. And that benefits you. It benefits you in a lot of ways because one, you can find exemptions between the loans that you're paying versus the profits you're making off your portfolio. But two, if you need money for something unexpected and you're getting that $300-500 a month on your brokerage account, then you don't gotta sell your stocks. You can just get paid off the brokerage account and then pay that option. In some situations, you can charge the problem to the credit card and then take the money from the brokerage account and put it on a credit card before the billing cycle rolls over. So your paycheck is already gone. You charge the problem to your credit card, and then you take your brokerage account and pay your credit card. In these situations, you have an alternative solution to unexpected problems. But if you continue to live check to check while paying down debt, if you have an unexpected scenario, you don't have as many avenues to resolve that scenario. So I strongly encourage to go ahead and give it a shot, give it a swing. But it's up to you as to when you're going to do it. But one thing I'm going to tell you is that right now, while the market is shit, because it's a very shitty market right now, and it is so good for broke people who are building themselves up. It is shitty for the wealthy, but this is a gold mine for the people who are coming into the market right now. Because these blue chip companies, all the rich people have run from them out of fear. When the market stabilizes, they're going to put their money back into these exact same things, and these things are going to gain value. So if you buy into them while they're cheap, the dividends are going to be the same. But when it starts growing in value, the growth of it, the dividends are still going to be the same, but you now have a portfolio where it used to be $2 a share, now it's $20 a share. And that's when you have the ability to have $100,000 worth of stuff that turns into $1 million worth of stuff, or $200,000 worth of stuff, where you end up now borrowing against a stone, reinvesting into the thing, line of credit, expanding on your portfolio, doubling down on your success, and then having the dividends from the brokerage account pay for the line of credit towards the brokerage account, which allows you to expedite your growth. The more you can expedite your growth, the faster you can expedite your growth while continuing to work your day-to-day job, the more money you're going to have when you retire. If you can turn 100 grand into 200 grand, or turn 100 grand into 150 grand, pay that down, pay that 50 grand down, and then turn that 150 grand into 275, pay that down, and then turn that 275 into like 450, and then pay that down. You will find yourself by the time you reach that 10 to 15 year mark, 20-year mark, you got $500,000, $1 million, and you'll be way better. You'll be way better. Because as long as you're taking less than 50% out of the brokerage account as a line of credit, the market can go down a little bit and you're not hurt. He said, I'm on it today. Put the membership, you recommendations for the first ones I should grab. Yeah, I already put them in there 2 or 3 days ago. Some of the first ones that you could grab: DHT, Orchid Island, Ellington Real Estate Investment Trust, Prospect Capital, Johnson and Johnson. I gave 16 or 17 of them. I gave two different ways to do it. Matter of fact, the first way was dividend heavy, and then the second way was growth and dividend heavy, where you can rebalance by putting your start off by getting your stocks first, get your stocks. But every time you add principal to the REITs that are at 20%. Take the dividends from the REITs that are at 20% and rebalance them to everything else on your portfolio, so that you're getting fast cash while the market is in your favor, and you have stability growth in the other options as time moves on. So if in the event that the 20% stops being 20% and starts being 15%, you still got the growth from the other stocks in the portfolio. And that will allow you to make it where you're trying to make it at. And it helps. So people who are doing this on a budget, using dividends helps you expand, because you're getting money for holding, as opposed to a growth stock where if the stock loses value, you've lost that money forever. A dividend paying stock, if the stock loses monetary value, the dividends are the same as long as the company doesn't cut the stock, or cut the shares. So it's always good to get in there and take a look. It says, I haven't checked the membership in a while. That link you put in a while ago, will that benefit you if I use it to set up my Stash app? If you didn't set up the Stash app before, it should. You click the link and you go in there and you start doing what you were doing, because I know that if you downloaded the app but you never set up your account, um, if you use that link and then set up your account, it more than likely should benefit me. It should benefit you, because according to the link, you're supposed to get $30 for using it the first time you top up something over $5, which benefits you in and of itself, because if the link does work for you and you get that $30, the annual membership is $32 for the year. So if they give you $30 of cash to put towards your first investment, you've got $32 to pay for the membership. That's that makes the app pay for the first year for you, where you can find the value in the app before you got to actually take money out of your pocket and pay for the first year or pay for the second year, where your first year only costs you $2. So you should take a look at it, take a swing, and see what's going on with it. Because, and I went back and I put the link at the top of both of those portfolio templates. So if you don't remember where the link is, because you can click the link from the membership on the YouTube channel, or you can go into one of those that just came out like 2 or 3 days ago and click the link on one of those. And because the link is in both of those. So you look at the portfolio, you click the link, take it to your app. You can go back and forth between the Google Doc with the link in it that's got all the stocks that you should grab and the percentages that you should divide them up in, and then the stash app and just back and forth picking it out, and then you be set. I really put in the work, bro. I really put in the work. That I literally have the percentages. So if you're trying to put up $100, I'm like, all right, well, 12% here, 13% here, 8% here, and if you put up $100, it's like $13 here, $10 here, $8 here, and just add on to it. That's literally I did it for the ability to guarantee that if you did this, you should see some results that you'll be satisfied with, right? But we gotta start. We gotta start. We gotta start and see where things go. So and maybe throughout the year, it depends because I'm gonna keep doing this, and throughout the year, maybe I'll actually take a screenshot or something like that, and then show you guys like what it looks like. Um, at some points, if you know, like what it looks like, so that you can be like, oh shit, that's what it's supposed to look like. Build it up a little bit more, 10, 20, 30 grand, build it up a little bit more, and be, oh shit, that's what it's supposed to look like. Yes, that is what it's supposed to look like. When you start seeing those dividends being dropped in every month, because when you put up like $1,000 and you divide it up, then you would say, oh well, if you put up like $1,000 and you divide it up and you see, well, you got $50 here, $75 there. Out of $1,000, you're going to probably get like 120 or $150 out of the year, which is going to be almost like 25 or $30 a month kind of thing, depending on how things are working out when you first start up. But it's like, damn, it's every stock is paying you either every month or every quarter. So you're going to get emails saying, hey, you just got paid, and then when you look at the app, if you check the app every week, you're gonna start seeing, hey, you just got paid, right? And that's the kind of stuff that encourages you to continue to invest in it. He said, uh now would not be a bad time for me to start. Now is a perfect time for you to start. Just paid off my last credit card last week. Now is a perfect time for you to start. Whatever amount that you was dumping on those credit cards to pay down those credit cards, if you dump that on your brokerage account and keep maintaining the stable bills with everything else, you will be able to grow your bank account as fast as you was reducing your debt on those credit cards, and you'll be able to see those results. I don't know. I don't know. Let me see if I can. Let me see. I don't know if I can, because I don't want to put a lot of stuff on there, but I can. I know that I can see some stuff. Like, no doubt, I was in there. There is certain ones that I just talked to you guys about, and these are some of the ones that are up there that just grabbed this weekend, and I'm like, hey, let's put them in there, and then start putting some stuff on them, and then you've got all these dividend payouts from last month. Hold on, let me see if I can put it. All the dividend payouts from last month that's in there, and you can see all the dividend pays. And they're not. There's a bunch of small payments that are coming in from a bunch of small stocks that I got, but $20 here, $16 there, $10 here, $5 here throughout the month for a very small quantity of money that was invested up front. And the best part about it is that you find a lot more results uh, that encourages you to do more for yourself. And that's one of the things that I want. That's one of the things that I want you to do. I want you to experience the results on a small scale with a small investment opportunity to see why I tell you it's so good for you to invest in yourself. Because when you start putting $50 to $100, $200 a month in your brokerage account, $300, $400 a month in your brokerage account, you start seeing that the growth of your principal, but you also start experiencing larger dividend deposits. And that's when you start being like, holy shit. Because, like, for example, Ellington, Orchid Island, and Prospect Capital are all over 20% right now. So if you put $100 in each one of those, then you would be getting 20% a year, which would ultimately be, well, if you put like $1,000 in each one of them, you would be getting like $200 from each one of them, which is like $600 a year that you would get back off of $3,000 worth of investment. Just that 20% return off of those, off of $3,000, you get back 600 a year, which is 20% return. But if you took that 600 a year and reinvested in the others, you would have the growth and stability from the others, but you would have the high profit cash generation from those three while they're currently sitting at 20%. Now, the best part about it is that when war is over, when the tariffs are over, when the shutdown is over, and the market stabilizes and Donald Trump stops doing crazy shit, or Donald Trump gets out of office, we got a new president in there that's not rocking the boat and the economy is stable. If you bought the shares at 20%, you're still getting 20% when the market recovers. So you're going to get the 20% price with the growth. So if you're buying it at $2 to $5 a share right now, and then it creeps up to $10 or $20 a share, you're going to be still getting that dividend at the $2 to $3 a share price while still experiencing that growth. That's the part that I'm telling everybody, get it while you still can, because when the price goes up, it's going to be a while before it goes back down again. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. Like I said before, we got a lot of stuff coming up, and I want you guys to stay tuned with it. I'm going to start off by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you this information to make you guys higher value men. You have to prioritize the things in your life that are inside of your control that you don't like and make the necessary changes to improve that. And you will start seeing a better standard of living. And then you can navigate around the things in your life that you cannot control. Now, ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can make yourselves higher value women by prioritizing your 20 or 30-year goals, reverse engineering what it takes to get to your end goals, all the way down to what steps you need to take today, and start proactively working towards making yourself a better you for your end goal, your end 20-year goal. Keep your eyes and ears open for those potential suitors that actually have that personality, characteristics, drives, ambition, everything to that effect that will lead you to what you're looking for in your life. And that person can aid you in getting to your goals faster. This isn't about finding somebody to ride their coattails. This is about somebody that will partner with you as presumably an equal that will aid you in getting to where you want to get, because two people can make it to $1 million faster than one. Shared goals in a relationship is a longer lasting, healthier relationship than individually supporting one another, where you got to put your life on hold for the sake of somebody else's dreams or ambitions, or vice versa. That builds resentment. You want to be able to grow together and achieve your goals together simultaneously, hopefully, right? And the only way you can do that is if you pay attention, right? So with that being said, that's all I've got for you guys for tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between.
Higher That's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.